Hey guys, I'm Mark from AnimCap. This is part 3 of recapping this anime. I hope you will like it. Also you can become a channel member to get full videos without censure, and help me as well. Now let's start the video. Teacher warned Fran don't push herself if she is tired. He didn't want Fran to be in a dangerous situation. Previously he and Fran had also bought teleport feathers to the city so they could escape if something was dangerous for a while. Even though they already have this item, Teacher still has to care for friends so she can focus on fighting. He also said that Fran had already begun to understand each monster's stone core place, so he didn't have to do it alone anymore. Then Teacher advised Fran to aim for the core stones of the high-level goblins only because they had to divide these monsters equally for the adventurers. After the core stone is taken from goblins, the corpses will save in dimensional storage so the other adventurers won't be suspicious of Teacher identity. Next he started using a special skill called split thinking to analyze abilities in more detail. Afterward they started killing high-level goblins and absorbing their abilities. This dungeon was completely filled with goblins. Then Fran and Teacher followed this hallway's direction and found the goblins again. Teacher will use his magic by targeting several high-level goblins to speed up the exploration of this dungeon. He had taught Fran the split thinking ability, but unfortunately this skill had side effects for humans, so Teacher decided to use this ability alone because there were no side effects to an inanimate object like this sword. Afterward they explored the dungeon hall again and Teacher started using his area identification skill to search for the goblins here. After finding the goblins, it turned out that they were running away together with the Goblin King and Queen. Fran was about to attack them, but Teacher said there were too many goblins around the King and Queen. So he suggests Fran attack the King and Queen after he uses his magic power on the goblins around them. Then Fran agreed with Sword suggestion and started doing this plan. Sword ability was too strong, so all the goblins died instantly and he didn't know why they were too weak like this. Fran was crying because Teacher didn't distribute the attack rations. Even though Fran wanted to fight the Goblin King, he apologized to Fran, but Fran was still crying. Then the remaining goblins ran away from Fran. But Teacher didn't allow Fran to follow these goblins because the adventurers also needed the materials from this dungeon. While exploring the dungeon, Teacher said that Fran could defeat the dungeon master later, so Fran didn't have to cry. Then they find an unlocked door. When they entered the room they saw this room contained countless insects. Teacher identified them and they had a small level. This is Fran's chance to level up quickly because she will kill many insects. Teacher was surprised that these insects had not diminished at all. Then he realized that there was an insect queen with a summoning ability. Sword ordered Fran to use magic to kill the insect queen. After that there was another door in this passage and suddenly Teacher and Fran felt a very dangerous aura here. Teacher again warned Fran to teleport to the city when the situation got too dangerous. Then Fran calmed him down, because whoever the opponent was Fran and he would be able to beat him. Then Teacher promised to cook delicious food for Fran if she managed to defeat the monster inside this door. Teacher also gives a lot of buffs to Fran ranging from magic and physical defense, attack power, speed, agility, etc. After that they entered the door and there was a demon monster that was a dungeon boss, named Greater Demon. Teacher immediately identified the Greater Demon status. He was surprised because the Greater Demon status was very high and he possessed various abilities that he didn't know about. It was likely that the boss of this dungeon had a B rank level and Fran had to be careful against it. If Greater Demon got out of here he could destroy a nation instantly. On the other hand there was also a dungeon master who ordered the Greater Demon to immediately kill this weak duo. Fran had messed up many goblin armies and destroyed the dungeon master's plans to create a goblin empire. Greater Demon was extremely powerful, making it difficult for Fran to attack him. The Greater Demon was amazed that a kid like Fran could match his strength. So Greater Demon would be more serious about fighting Fran with his abilities. Teacher did not expect the Greater Demon had this kind of teleport ability, but he didn't find this skill on the Greater Demon after analyzing his status earlier. Then Teacher started to think about how the Greater Demon did it. The Greater Demon continued to attack Fran relentlessly. After Teacher learned of some of the Greater Demon's moves, he realized that the Greater Demon used Fran's shadow for its teleportation. So he immediately uses the demonic poison ability and Fran must slash it to the Greater Demon directly. Even though Teacher and Fran already knew how to attack the Greater Demon, unfortunately he still couldn't be defeated. Teacher felt this was a bad situation as they couldn't use combination attacks like when fighting regular monsters. But Fran was still trying to fight the Greater Demon, because she wanted to eat Teacher's delicious food. Even the Greater Demon underestimated Fran because her attacks were so weak. Greater Demon acknowledged that Fran's sword skills and techniques were excellent, So he wanted to take Fran's sword skills with his demonic power. After the greater demon managed to take Fran's sword skills, teacher and Fran didn't feel any side effects. Then the greater demon threatened Fran. At this time she would die because the greater demon already had Fran's sword skills. On the other hand, the adventurers explore the dungeon that had been cleared by Fran and teacher. The adventurers got quite a lot of low-level goblins and they had to quickly catch up with Fran because they were worried about her body condition. When they arrived at the insect Fran and teacher defeated earlier, it turned out that the door was locked and they had to find another way to get to the deepest part of the dungeon. Then the greater demon threatened Fran that this time she would die because he already had Fran's sword skills. Then the greater demon attacked Fran again, but his sword skills were strangely still same. That means greater demon failed to take teacher and Fran's abilities. This can happen because the greater demon's main target is only Fran's skill, while all of the main sword abilities are in teacher. Then the dungeon master started bringing out top-level goblins to join fight. But demon didn't want the dungeon master to interfere with this fight, because he wanted to get out of there and mess up the city. Then the greater demon attacked Fran with the overwhelming power he had. Fortunately Fran and teacher managed to withstand his attack. Sword advises Fran to return to the city because the greater demon is too strong. But Fran didn't want it because if she went back to the city, the greater demon would definitely mess up the city and hurt the citizens. Fran didn't want that to happen because there were a lot of merchants that Fran needed for her daily needs. Therefore teacher still accompanied Fran to fight against the greater demon. He tried to think of the greater demon's weakness, while the demon continued to attack Fran without stopping. The demon attacks continued indiscriminately with no mercy on Fran. Every stone on the dungeon wall was crushed and fortunately Fran could dodge these stones with agility. Then teacher finally found one oddity. The demon didn't attack the dungeon wall stone around the dungeon master. It was likely that demon would never put a dungeon master in danger. So teacher started trying to attack the dungeon master directly to prove his conjecture. It turned out that his guess was correct. Demon always guarded the dungeon master. Sword and Fran brutally used magic power to attack the dungeon master. Whereas greater demons would definitely not have another chance to attack. If the dungeon master is killed, the demon will also disappear, because the dungeon master controls the core of this dungeon. But unfortunately the greater demon's protective shield was powerful. It was likely that Fran and teacher MP had run out before the greater demon shield broke, so they started to stop their magic attacks. Then the demon attacked them back and they dodged his attack. Teacher suggested Fran use the plan he had just made. Fran had to entrust this plan to teacher without being controlled by her. Demon has a cooldown after its skill is released, so teacher and Fran will take advantage of this opportunity. Then he told Fran to throw the sword in a different direction from the greater demon. After teacher slid and headed towards the dungeon master, Fran used magic power again to attack the demon, but he blocked Fran's attack and used its strength again to block sword path. But this was the moment teacher had been waiting for the most. He started to change direction with his telekinesis ability towards the greater demon core stone. The demon managed to restrain sword, but teacher increased his magic power again and started talking directly to the greater demon. He was furious that the demon had hurt Fran so many times. This is teacher's revenge, who loves Fran very much, because Fran is the most precious person in this world. Fran thought that teacher died. Fortunately he was alive because he absorbs the core stone. Fran was a little annoyed that teacher was acting like he had no life. Then Fran took the demon sword and immediately killed the dungeon master. After that, dungeon turned into an ordinary room. Teacher kept the greater demon sword, which had a high level. After that, Denadrant and the adventurers approached Fran. They were very worried about Fran's condition and shocked to learn that greater demon's corpse was there. The adventurers were amazed that Fran could defeat B-rank greater demon alone. But suddenly Denadrant scolded Fran for acting too rashly. This frightens Fran and her mood worsens from being scolded by Denadrant. Then they returned to the city by bringing the greater demon's corpse. Teacher really enjoyed this fight because he gained many ability from the monster's core stones, especially greater demons. Fran also leveled up drastically for killing greater demons and goblins. Fran's level has reached level 25, while teacher is already level 10. Fran is very annoyed with teacher because he talks about abilities when Fran's mood is still chaotic. Then teacher comforted Fran by discussing the delicious food that he had promised earlier. When Fran's mood improved, teacher went back to talking about their current abilities. The ability of a greater demon that takes abilities from other people's bodies has also been obtained by him. The name of the ability is Skill Taker. Then teacher raised the Skill Taker level to the max and Skill Taker had a 100% chance of taking the opponent's ability. Skill Taker also has a cooldown of 18 days and can only be used once on the same target. This makes Fran and teacher very happy and they can't wait to try Skill Taker. Then they finally arrived at the city of Alessa and continued their respective activities. Fran is called into Clint's office at night to talk about clearing the dungeon. Clint was not happy of Fran because she had already defeated the B-ranked monsters there. Actually, Fran's actions today were unfair to the other adventurers, but luckily they didn't complain about it. Then Clint appreciated Fran, who was willing to bring the Greater Demon's corpse to the Adventurers Guild. Greater Demon's corpses could be made into some quality materials and were definitely rare since he was a B-rank monster. But Clint found one oddity: he didn't find the core stone of the Greater Demon. Clint was curious because so many rare core stones were after him. It's even possible that some people or countries will ask Fran many questions later, where is the core stone in this B-rank monster's body? Then Fran said the core stone in the Greater Demon's body shattered when Fran defeated it. After hearing that, Clint was relieved and believed Fran's words. But suddenly a man walked into Clint's office and said Fran had lied to Clint. But that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss new videos. You can also like this video because it will help to reach more viewers. Thanks for watching and I'll see you soon.